Hey, so color is pretty important in a video game, isn't it? A good use of color can really switch up the vibe of a scene. It could make the scene really good and memorable, or really bland and forgettable. I mean, imagine if you were just playing a game, minding your business, and boom, no color. Wait, this kinda looks familiar. Yeah, East 9 doesn't exactly look amazing compared to what came before and after it. When the game was first shown off back in 2019, a lot of people immediately took notice of how, well, just different it looked compared to East 8. Well, everyone aside from me. I mean, this is the game I started the series with. It's not like I had much to compare it to. But anyways, I'm not talking different as in Ado and Dogi have different designs from the previous game, or how different the story was with Ado being thrown in jail, which wasn't the first time. No, it was the fact that the game looked so bland. I mean, there was gray pretty much everywhere. It genuinely looked like the color was just ripped out of everything. And Falcom obviously heard what the fans thought, because the game right after looked way more vibrant, and honestly that was probably a good decision. We don't know for sure, but based on the ending of 9, in East 11 we might finally go to Bretai, which is based off Britain. I don't know about you, but when I think of Britain, I think of equally gray and bland looking cities, kinda like their food. Anyways, back on topic. Aside from the gothic theme the game was going for, why did East 9 look so gray?
Oh, I know. It's because they didn't have any money, right? That's the same reason why the game doesn't have an opening either.
Estelle, I swear to God. No, it's not because Falcom didn't have the funds or just cheaped out. At least, I hope that wasn't why. But in my opinion, it's pretty clear as to why East 9 looks the way it does. First off, like I said a bit ago, you can tell they were going for a gothic vibe with this game. I mean, based off the concept art alone, you can really tell the vibe they wanted this game to have. And I think it worked pretty well. Even with the official art of the game, it has a totally different feel about it compared to the art in games like Celceta or East 8. Things seem a lot more dark and serious in East 9, for lack of better words. Not that the past games never got serious or anything like that, but it's a lot more prominent here. Ado himself carries a pretty different feel about him too, but that might just be because he's older. Looks like this is what happens when you hit 24. And aside from that, the clothing and overall design of the characters goes along with the vibe of the game pretty well too. Look at Doll, for example. She looks like, well, a gothic doll. Just not as creepy, thankfully. And you know who really fits with the overall feel of the game? My wife, I mean Aprilis. Yeah, she might look a bit over the top, but honestly, to me, she looks really cool.
She's so fine, she done pissing me off! How are you that fine?
And aside from all that, she perfectly fits not only the vibe of the game, but the tone of the story too. And speaking of the story, that also goes into why the game looks the way it does. So, to briefly sum up the story without spoiling anything, East 9 takes place a few months after the events of 7, making it the latest in the timeline. Ado and Dogi travel to Balduc, a prison city. They get to the gate and the warden immediately recognizes Ado. Apparently, he's wanted in a bunch of different places due to all the adventures he's gone on. And yeah, I gotta admit, the stuff that happens in previous games was kinda crazy. So yeah, they throw him in prison. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm gonna sum the rest up as Ado gets shot, turns into a monstrum, breaks out of the prison, but then realizes he can't leave the city. Dog, don't look at me like that, just go play the game, it'll make sense, I promise. Alright, so moving on. How does the story add to the dull and muted visuals of East 9? Well, as I said before, you're kinda trapped here. The dullness about everything pretty much perfectly matches up with the setting East 9 has. You're in Balduc, a prison city. A prison isn't exactly the most vibrant place in the world, you know? It's supposed to look all bland and lifeless. It's to make you feel like there's no hope of getting out, and it works pretty well in this game, especially considering for most of the game you can't even leave the city. Okay, not most of the game, it's like 3 chapters, but still, you get the point. And considering that Ado is, you know, an adventurer, he's got some crazy wanderlust. Someone like him would hate being trapped and forced to remain in one area. So the city seeming so lifeless works pretty well because it only adds to the feeling of wanting to break free. Maybe wanting to be free? Anyways, you're pretty much trapped in the city for the first 3 chapters, with barriers blocking your path pretty much everywhere early on, but soon enough you find out how to break some of the barriers, letting you explore more of the city. But still, you can't actually leave, and the new areas look as grey as ever. So you continue on with your journey, seeing new parts of Balduq, learning more about the prison, fighting in the Grimmauld Nox, and even sneaking into the prison a few times. After a while, you kinda get used to the dullness. It doesn't bother you as much anymore. But then, after beating the first full moon Grimmauld, a barrier blocking one of the gates disappears, which means you can finally leave the city. And when you take that first step out, and you see the massive field in front of you, and the music starts to kick in, you get excited. Yeah, you were playing the game before, but now, the real adventure begins. So, you see, there's a good reason as to why Ys 9 looks the way it does. Something like that wouldn't hit nearly as hard if the game was as vibrant as Ys 8, for example. And even if you still really hate the way Ys 9 looks, it's fine. It's not like every game after this was gonna have the same dull and lifeless look to it. Like I said before, Ys 10 looks completely different, way more colorful, and just all around has a different vibe to it. And going outside of just Ys, look at the games Falcom dropped after Ys 9. The Kuro games don't look like Ys 9 at all. They look really damn good, better than the last 2 Ys games in fact. Definitely not jealous of that or anything. And just look at Kai no Kiseki. From what I've seen, for Falcom, that game looks genuinely amazing. And think about it for a second, if Kai looks that good, then Falcom's next game, Tokyo Xanadu 2, will look even better than that. And if Tokyo Xanadu 2 ends up looking better than Kai, then the game after that is gonna look genuinely insane. What game would even be after Tokyo Xanadu 2, you ask? Okay, I think that's enough rambling for one video. I hope this video could help shed some light on why Ys 9 looks the way it does. Love it or hate it, visuals alone don't make up an entire game's value, you know? Take it from me, I started the series with Ys 9 after all. Anyways, that's pretty much it for me. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and maybe subscribe too. Alright, thanks for watching, I'll see you later.